Hi everyone, welcome to the 83rd episode of South Shore Vibe. I'm your host Brian Petter. It is great to be back with you. I hope you've had a beautiful summer and we are back for episode number 83. We'll have guests tonight, starting with Terry Deslage. He is the treasurer for the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 94 in Greenfield Park. He's also the first vice president of the Provincial Quebec Command. He'll be speaking to us about his recent European trip, learning about World War history, remembrance, and we have some very interesting photos to show you. We'll have our second interview with Jocelyn and Nikki. They'll be speaking to us about the upcoming Walk for Dogs SPCA Montérégie. It's an annual event, very important for fundraising for them, and we will have some beautiful dog pictures to show you. We'll end our show with a devoted mother, Janice Satilny. She has written a book dealing with AVM about her son, Jagger Satilny. And she recently launched the book at Scotty's Bar and Grill. And they'll be here to educate us about AVM and to talk about this interesting but also scary experience that they had as a family. So, wherever you are on the South Shore of Montreal, in Quebec, in Canada, or beyond, know that you're important. Come on in, let's catch the vibe. Our first guest tonight on South Shore Vibe is Terry Deslage. He's with the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 94 located in Greenfield Park. Terry, welcome to the Vibe.
Thank you very much for having me.
It is a pleasure. It's so nice to have you on this August day in the studio at TVRS.
Yeah.
You were selected to represent the province of Quebec to go on the Royal Canadian Legion Pilgrimage of Remembrance. What can you tell our viewers about this activity and a little bit about the history, please?
Well, the Pilgrimage of Remembrance is exactly the word, like you said, is remembrance. So what we do now is, originally it started in just after the war. They would take veterans to go back to the battlefields where their comrades had fallen, because back in World War I, where they fell were where they were buried. So then they would also bring family in that. Over the years, it's switched over to more of an educational and remembrance, so that the pilgrims that go, they can come back and they can pass the history down into schools, cadets, and just basically the general population on the different aspects of the war and how it affected Canadians in general. Through our experience and living the experience of walking through battlefields and seeing spots where 100,000 people died, basically.
You go last month. How many days did you go to Europe?
We were 14 days.
First few days, which country did you go to?
The first, I believe it was 4 days. We were in France, in the city of Bayeux. So that was basically our hopping station. So every morning we would leave and we'd be on a coach for from 7:30 in the morning till about 5 o'clock at night. And basically we'd be going all over through France. We did Juno Beach, we did Dieppe, all the different museums, all the different cemeteries that are related to World War II. That was the first part of the pilgrimage, was dealing with World War II. So we did everything that related to World War II.
And then you went to what country after that?
After that, we went to Belgium. So then we started into the section of the First World War. So we did I never pronounced the word right, but the Ypres Salient.
Yeah.
And we were, we saw the different aspects where the first chemical warfare was done. And we actually had an actual surprise during that time that we were in Belgium. Our coach driver was Dutch, and we were like 500 yards from the Netherlands, And he says, there's a memorial that I want to show you. So we actually ended up going into the Netherlands, and the monument was there. There was a vehicle, an all-terrain military vehicle, but there was no flags. The flagpoles were empty, so we installed a Canadian flag.
Wow, that must have been
And
powerful.
The bus driver actually left a note saying that it was a donation from the Royal Canadian Legion for the people, the Dutch people.
Really powerful. Now, you told us that you went for 14 days. You got to go to the majority of time France and Belgium.
Yes.
Then you fortunately were able to stop by the Netherlands. You took how many photos while you were there, you told me?
Roughly, last count, roughly about 2,300 and counting.
So 2,300 photos. And Terry sent me a batch, and then I had to select through. What we're going to do for you, the viewers, because the goal here is to educate and to pass on this information in remembrance to, as you were mentioning, our community, people of all ages, right, Terry?
Yep.
We're going to show these photos one at a time, and Terry is going to give you a little voiceover and describe what he's seeing here on The Vibe. So the first one is we are looking at the British Memorial at Juno Beach. What can you tell us about this one, Terry?
This was it's an image that is very powerful, because what they did was they put silhouettes of soldiers, and this was the British entry into what they called the Gold Beach part of Juno. And I mean, this is how they came across the landscape coming up to the area that they had to take their planning that they had to take over. So, and this is basically, if you use from the edge of the water right up to the end of the land, is basically like 200-300 silhouettes of soldiers, and you see the impact is extremely emotional when you see it in early morning, because we were there like at 7:45 in the morning, and the haze was still there with the fog from the water, and you see these silhouettes plus it was raining that day, so I mean, it was just totally made a sense of powerful movement.
You can imagine what it might have been like, and visually it must have been powerful, eh?
Yes.
Our next photo is, we're talking June 6, 1944, D-Day, the first landing spot for Canadian soldiers.
Yes.
Here's a photo.
So this is Juno Beach, and this was the first section where the Canadians landed. You can imagine that it was a fortified area with German installations and all that. So I mean, the boats came in, and as they arrived so far, I mean, the drawbridge off the boat dropped, and the soldiers were coming out. And our historian, when he was talking to us, he said there were bodies just floating everywhere in the water, and like you see in the picture now, I mean, it's picturesque, but I mean, you have to remember historically what it entailed. So
our next photo is Saint Aubin-Saumel, one of the 5 Canadian landing sites. This one is really interesting. We're talking about a gun installation. What could you describe to our viewers, please?
This is a decommissioned gun that is part of the Juno Beach museum structure. In essence, there were 5 or 6 of these installations on the beach. So as the Canadians were approaching, these gun turrets could turn 180 degrees to cover the whole beach and basically just swipe bullets right across. So, I mean, you were basically up against machine guns from every direction.
It must have been terrifying for those soldiers.
Yeah.
The next one is quite powerful. We're talking about a house, and we're talking the morning of June 6, 93 soldiers killed right in front of this house. What can you tell our viewers, please?
This is actually one of the houses that were saved, actually. It was one of the houses that didn't get destroyed during the war. It was German occupied, and they used to take what they call chateaux back in that time. But there was none that was around, so they took this house on the fact because it had the panoramic view of the waterfront, so they were able to see what was coming, and it's right on the edge of the seawall. So this was actually a German control center, And the Canadians, after the Canadians that died in '93, I believe it was, they were able to take over the house, and they actually captured Germans that were hiding in the basement. And the Canadians ended up using this house for a good 2-3 weeks after as a command post.
And then they continued moving on as the Battle of Normandy began, right?
Yes.
Our next one is Hell's Corner. In a few short words, what can you tell us, please?
Well, Hell's Corner, basically. It was a corner, it's a junction of two roads, and basically it lasted over a month, the battle there. And the Canadians just trenched in on the road and had German onslaught non-stop. Eventually they were able to defeat the Germans and take that corner, but the amount of lost lives was incredible. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I mean, basically the Canadians at the time that were there, they dubbed it Hell's Corner because it was basically hell.
It says here the 9th Canadian Infantry Brigade endured heavy counterattacks and shelling.
Yeah.
Our next photo is Day 6 and 7, Operation Jubilee at Dieppe.
Yes. So the picture you're seeing now is the Dieppe beach, which is actually funny because we say it's a beach, but there's no sand. It's all rocks.
Oh, interesting.
And the Canadian, when we attacked at Dieppe, it was actually a massacre for Canadians. It was one of the worst periods of the war for Canadians. The loss of life was totally unbelievable, and they actually, in the historical files, they actually say it was the worst part of the war because it should have never taken place.
It says here it was a costly failure, resulting in heavy casualties and few strategic gains for the Allied forces. Over 900 Canadian soldiers killed, nearly 2,000 taken prisoner. That's powerful, isn't it?
And I mean, if you've seen the picture, there's like a bluff on the side, but basically there's two bluffs on each side, and they had what they called pillboxes on the top, which again, you saw the image in Juno Beach with the machine gun. Well, these pillboxes had the same thing. So basically, as they were going up on the pebbles, they were being bombarded with the machine guns.
Our next photo we have, this is Ypres. Do I pronounce that right? Ypres, Ypres?
Yes.
And dealing with World War I, Ypres salient, Passchendaele, and some 1916.
Yes.
Is this a memorial structure or?
This is a memorial. When they came to construct, later on we'll be seeing Vimy, this was actually one of the, they had a contest for memorials, and this was one of the ones that were submitted. This was supposed to be in place of Vimy, but then for some reason it got changed and Vimy was created.
Okay.
This they call the Budding Soldier. Okay. It's a 22 or 23 marble foot with a soldier head on it. There's supposed to be 8 of them all across Europe, but because of the depression, they actually ended up. This was the only one that was actually created. The rest are just a marble square that are lined over different areas in the sailing.
We're going to look at the next one. It is the trench in Passchendaele. A few words on that one?
We were able to go into different areas. So we went in Passchendaele, and at the museum that they have in Passchendaele, they actually have tunnels and they have trenches. So we were able to walk and actually have the feeling of how the soldiers back in World War I lived in these trenches. I mean, you know, if you stuck your head a little too high, I mean, our guide would sit there and say, boom, you're dead.
Wow.
Because the soldiers were like 500 feet across, and they were in a trench, and you were in a trench, and it was basically back and forth artillery.
The next photo we have, the burial site of John McRae. Is he the one who wrote the famous poem?
Yes. So we were able to actually, he worked in what's called Essex Farm. He's not buried at Essex Farm, he's buried at this place. So this is was his tombstone. He basically one day was sitting at Essex Farm, and he came out of surgery, and he decided to write up the poem.
Very interesting. Our next one is the Arch commemorating, this one is very powerful, commemorating by name nearly 55,000 dead of the armies of the British Commonwealth who fell in Belgium, most of them in the Ypres salient. Of these 55,000, 6,940 were Canadian soldiers. Was that, looking at that and being there, what did you feel?
It's hard to explain. I mean, I'm still processing my 14 days, but this, I mean, it's just you're in a structure that is in the middle of the road, basically on both sides, and it's just powerful. And we also we ended up doing a ceremony there and laying a wreath on behalf of Canadians.
Okay. We've got a photo here. This is dealing with where the Allied forces were digging a vast network of underground galleries in the southeast of Arras.
Yes.
April 9th, 1917 at 5:30 in the morning, English time. 24,000 British soldiers erupt from the tunnels, surprising the German soldiers, right?
Yes, which basically was Vimy Ridge.
And our last one is the Vimy Memorial. In a few words, what was it like to see that, and what is the significance of the Vimy?
Basically, when you're standing in front of it, you seem small. Like, I mean, it's so massive of a structure, and I mean, there's so many names that are carved in the marble of soldiers that are not buried, so they don't have a burial spot, and it's just incredible the solemn, when you're standing there and like nobody's talking, everybody's quiet. I mean, you hear the birds in the fields, but I mean, it's just massive emotional take that you sit there and you said like how to understand the world wars and how people were able to define loss of life. And it's incredible to see the amount of, like I said, just names and names and rows of names, and all these people never ended up having a proper burial.
Really powerful. Terry Deslage, thank you for educating our viewers, for coming into the studio. Till we meet again.
Thank you very much.